Hello everyone, this is the second part of array recap. In this section, I'm going to show you some example array programs. I'm going to start writing the programs using C free editor. This is the first program I'm going to write. Here I'm going to create two arrays, one single dimensional array and another one for multidimensional array. Array 1 is going to be used as the single dimensional array with 5 elements, and array 2 is going to be a multidimensional array which is a 2D array, and here I'm going to use 2 rows and 3 columns. When we initialize arrays with the necessary data, we can do that in different ways. So this is the really simple way that we can initialize an array. So here I'm going to initialize the first element of array 1. The first element means array 1, 0. And here I have given 10. And for the second element, I'm going to use number 20. And for the third, 30 and 40 and 50, like that. So I'm copying the lines and I'm going to change the indexes and give the values. Here you see that array indexes goes from 0 to 4 since my array size is 5. Similarly, we can initialize data for the second 2D array as well. So array 2, 0, 0 to be filled with number 60, and array 201 to be filled with number 70, 80, 90, like that. So here in this 2D array, I have 2 rows. Therefore, when I insert values, my values goes like this. So here you see that row count is 2, therefore I can have only 0 and 1. And since the other part, it has 3 columns, and therefore I can have values from 0 to 2. And if I want to print the values, I'm going to see out the values within the array. So simply I'm copying this line and pasting it here. And similarly, I'm going to see the array elements of the second array, like array 200. So if I check the answer, you see here that the values are show, and I'm going to put enter and run the program again. Now you can clearly see that array 1 0 means 10 and array 2 0 0 means 60. So here you see that we have printed only two values. If we want to print all the values, what will happen is we will have to use number of lines to print all the values within a given array. If we have a really big array, there will be more number of statements here. So what we are going to use is we're going to use a for loop and print all the values within the array. So here my array size is 5 and the array indexes goes from 0 to 4. Therefore here I can give x less than 5. If you prefer, you can use x less than or equal 4 and then print the values inside your array. So here I am using x value because when this for loop get executed, each and every iteration will take values of the array from array index 0 to array index 4. So now you see that we have two different ways to access elements of an array. In the first case, we have directly taken, we have directly accessed the array index and printed it using cout. And in the second case, we have used a for loop and then accessed each and every element within the loop. So let's see the result. So if you look at the output, you can see that both give correct answers. So if you look at the output, you can see that both the statements give correct answers. So now let's see how to use for loops to print a 2D array. So here in this 2D array, I have 2 rows and 3 columns. Therefore, my x values or as the row values goes from 0 to 2. That means 0 and 1 only. Therefore, I have used x less than 2. And for columns, I have to use values from 0 to 2. 0, 1 and 2. Therefore, for the inner for loop, I am going to use values from 0 to 2. Here I have mentioned that as y, and y starts from 0 to 2 means less than 3. So cout and array name, array 2, first row position and then column positions. So this is the printing to the array. Now here, let's try to run the program. Okay, like this. I'm going to give enter here, and now you can clearly see the output. So all the values are printed correctly for both single dimensional and multidimensional arrays. And now let's move back to the initialization part. Here we have initialized array like this. So instead of initializing like this, we can have another option here. Array 1 5 equals, within curly braces I can give all the values, and therefore I can omit this part. Similarly, for the 2D array also we can insert values at the same time when we declare the array. So here there are 2 rows. So first of all I'm going to create those 2 rows. That means here I have 2 rows. Therefore I'm going to use 2 inner curly braces. And in the second part I have 3 numbers which stores the data value. Therefore within the curly braces I have to mention the values we have used within the array. So here I am going to type 60, 70 and 80, and within the other curly brace I am going to type 90, 100 and 110. Therefore I can omit the second part as well. So now what we have done is we have declare and initialize at the same time. So in the previous example what we did was we declared the array at the beginning, and thereafter we used separate initialization statements. Now here we have used both at the same place. So we say we have declared and initialized the array. So if I see the output, it is similar to that of the previous one, and that means both the programs we wrote here are similar. So let's try a few more examples. So I'm going to remove this 2D array section from this place. And assume that you have a single dimensional array and you want to reverse this array. That means you want to print the elements in reverse order. So when we print the array as usual, we can simply start from 0 and up to the size of the array. And when we print it in the reverse order, what we have to do is we will have to start from the size of the array, and then we can end when it is 0. So here if you see the output, you can see that the previous array elements are printed in reverse order. So now I'm going to split this array into 2 arrays. So here you can select any position to split the array. So I'm going to split array like this, 10 and 20 as a separate array, and 30, 40, 50 as another array. So first of all, I'm going to declare the two arrays I'm going to have at the end, ARR first and ARR second. In ARR first I'm going to have 2 elements, and in ARR second I'm going to have 3 elements. So I can simply use a for loop to access all the elements within the original array, that means within the array 1. So here I'm going to type 2 because I'm going to take only 2 values for the first array. So I'm assigning values in array 1 to array first. Just copy and paste it here. So when the for loop iterates, array 1 0 value will be stored in array first 0, and array 1 1 value will be stored in array first 1 position. And similarly we can write this for the ARR second array also. So I'm copying the for loop which I have created just now. So I'm changing array first, ARR first as ARR second. So x values are same, and x value should be started from 2 and ended from number 4. So I'm going to put 2 here and 5 here, that means starting from 2 and goes up to 4. So here I have to change this x as x minus 2 to make ARR second 0 here, because this for loop starts from x equals 0, x equal 2. Therefore, if we use ARR second x, the first element is skipped. So if you want to make it ARR second 0, we have to use ARR second x minus 2. So similarly, if you start your array position from x equal 3, you will have to use x minus 3. And if you start with x equal 4, you will have to use ARR second x minus 4, like that. So let's print these arrays at the same place. So here I'm adding lines necessary to print the array elements. I'm copying the same line here. And changing it as ARR second and x. minus 2. So here you can see the output like this. You can clearly see that first array and the second array values are printed separately. First array has 10 and 20 and the second array has 30, 40 and 50. So assume now you want to concat these arrays. That means to arrange both of these arrays together to make one particular array. So again we have to use the new array as int array new 5. So now I'm writing the for loop. Int x equals 0 and I have to fill data up to 4th location. That means x less than 5. So here I have 2 arrays to be concat, and first array goes from 0 to 2. Therefore first I'm considering if the x value is less than 2, the elements from the first array can be directly inserted into the array new. But if x is not less than 2, what will happen is we will have to change the array where we get data. So when it is not less than 2, that means when the x value is greater than 2, we have to take values from the second array. Therefore here I am using else statement, and within the else part I am going to use values from the second array. So I am going to insert values of the second array into the array new. So now I'm going to print the new array. So if we see the result, here you can clearly see that first array has number 10 and 20 and second array has number 30, 40 and 50, and when we concat these two arrays, we can see number 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50 in the final array.